It's been a long 10 years.
Like Bindi Irwin, the journey to get a diagnosis is difficult.
Bindi Irwin in her first TV interview since her diagnosis with endometriosis.
When I got out of surgery, the first thing he said to me was, "How did you live with that much pain?"
The world has known her as the smiling face of wildlife conservation, the daughter of Steve Irwin, the eternal burst of sunshine on camera. But what if that image was only half the story? For more than a decade, while the cameras kept rolling and the world kept watching.
A wonderful life for a kid, growing up with the animals just as Steve had done. And in Bindi Sue,
Bindi Irwin was living a reality no one could see. One defined not by fame, but by silent, escalating pain behind closed doors. Now, for the first time, she is breaking that silence. And what she's revealing doesn't just reshape how we see her story. It raises urgent questions about how many others are suffering in the same way, unheard and unseen. This isn't a celebrity headline. It's a deeper investigation into endurance, invisibility, and a system that too often misses what's happening right in front of it. Chronic illness struggle. Okay, this is where things get really heavy. And I want you to stay with me, because this part of her story is so important. For more than 10 years, basically a full decade, Bindi Irwin was living with chronic, debilitating, soul-crushing pain. And I'm not talking about the kind of pain you shake off with a couple of paracetamol and a quick lie down. I'm talking about the kind of pain that makes it hard to function as a human being. It's hard to get out of bed in the morning. It's hard to feel like yourself when you look in the mirror. The kind of pain that follows you everywhere, to work, to family dinners, to camera sets, to bed at night, to every single moment of your life. And the worst part of all of it? She didn't even know why it was happening. In her own words, she described it as indescribable, inescapable pain. She said she'd been tested for everything, every tropical disease imaginable, Lyme disease, cancer. You name it, they ran the test for it. Every blood draw, every scan, every specialist. And every single time she came up completely empty. No answers, just more confusion, more frustration, more pain with absolutely no explanation attached to it. And then came the part that is honestly infuriating to hear. Doctors kept dismissing her. They told her the pain was just part of being a woman. Let that one marinate for a second. A decade of suffering, and the medical response was basically, "Yeah, that's just how it is, sweetie." She started to internalize that. She started to actually believe she was weak. She said as a teenager and young woman, she felt weak and deeply insecure, and that she was trapped in her own body. Can you even imagine carrying that around? Being one of the most publicly recognizable faces in Australian wildlife conservation, putting on a brave face for cameras and interviews and red carpets and zoo crowds, all while secretly feeling like your own body is working against you, and nobody, not even the doctors, believes you. And here's what makes it even harder to wrap your head around. Bindi wasn't just some person who could quietly take a sick day at home. This is a woman who runs a world-class zoo, films television shows, gives public speeches, shows up for her family, her animals, her fans, every single day without fail. She had no choice but to keep going, even when her body was literally screaming at her to stop. She tried to keep it private. She didn't want to worry people. She kept being Bindi Irwin for the world. But the truth was, she was crumbling on the inside. For 10 whole years, no diagnosis, no roadmap, no community of people who understood. Just pain, dismissed over and over again as something she just had to put up with. That is a level of strength most of us will never fully comprehend. But it's also a level of injustice that should have never happened in the first place. The diagnosis that changed everything. Then, in March 2023, Bindi Irwin went public on Instagram with a bombshell announcement that nobody saw coming. She had finally been diagnosed with endometriosis. And if you're not familiar with endometriosis, let's break it down really quickly, because it matters here.
So many women can't fall pregnant because of problems with endometriosis.
Endometriosis is a condition where tissue similar to the lining of the uterus starts growing outside the uterus, on the ovaries, the fallopian tubes, and other organs throughout the body. According to the World Health Organization, approximately 190 million women worldwide are affected by endometriosis. That is a massive, staggering number. And yet, for many of those women, getting an actual diagnosis can take between 7 and 10 years on average. 7 to 10 years. Sound familiar? Because that's almost exactly how long Bindi had been suffering before anyone figured out what was actually wrong with her. The condition causes severe pain, especially around menstrual cycles, and it can also affect fertility. And because the symptoms are so often dismissed as just normal period pain, millions of women go undiagnosed for years, exactly like Bindi did. They get sent home, told to take ibuprofen, told to push through it, told they're being dramatic. It's honestly one of the most widespread and frustrating failures in women's healthcare today. When she finally got her diagnosis and had her first surgery in early March 2023, doctors removed 34 endometriosis lesions from her body. That is not a small number. But it was just the beginning of her story. The surgery was performed by Dr. Tamer Sekin, an endometriosis specialist at Lenox Hill Hospital in New York City. And Bindi was incredibly open about the fact that finding the right doctor, a surgeon who specifically performs excision surgery rather than ablation, made all the difference in the world. Her mom Terry even made a point of noting that in the comments of Bindi's post, urging other women to seek out excision surgeons specifically. Why does that distinction matter so much? Because ablation, the more common approach, essentially burns the lesions off the surface, which can leave the roots behind and allow them to grow back over time. Excision, on the other hand, cuts out the lesions entirely, roots and all. It's far more complex surgery, but for many patients, it offers dramatically better long-term results. Bindi's willingness to explain that publicly, to break down medical terminology for everyday women, has probably already helped thousands of women ask the right questions at their next doctor's appointment. The public response was enormous. Women from all over the world flooded her comments saying, "I believe you, me too. Thank you for finally giving this a name." For so many of them, seeing someone as well known as Bindi finally say out loud that the pain is real, that it isn't just something to toughen up and deal with, was genuinely life-changing. But here's the thing nobody saw coming. Bindi's health journey was actually far from over. Because just when you'd think the story ends with a diagnosis and some relief, things took an even more serious turn. Emergency. Gynecological surgery. So here's where things got really intense, and honestly, this part of Bindi's story speaks volumes about just how serious endometriosis can become when it isn't caught early enough in life. While Bindi was continuing her treatment journey after that first surgery in 2023, her body wasn't done fighting her yet. She ended up needing emergency surgery in the United States, and what doctors discovered when they got inside was genuinely staggering. They found even more endometriosis lesions hiding in places they hadn't seen before. They found that her appendix had to come out immediately, an emergency appendectomy right there on the table. And on top of all of that, she also needed a hernia repair from childbirth.
I had my appendix removed. I also had 14 new endometriosis lesions that had to be removed, and they kindly stitched up my hernia as well.
A complication that had been quietly building since she gave birth to Grace back in 2021. Now stop and really think about that for a second. One emergency surgery, an appendectomy, a hernia repair, more lesions cut out. All happening at the exact same time, on the same operating table, in the same procedure. Most people will go their entire lives without experiencing one of those operations. Bindi went through all four at once. Her husband, Chandler Powell, who was there through every single moment of it, described her afterward as the strongest person I know. And honestly, that feels like the understatement of the entire decade. because what she was carrying through all of this wasn't just physical. It was the weight of years of being told nothing was wrong with her, finally crashing into the reality of just how much was actually wrong. The most recent update came directly from her own Instagram post in late March 2026, shared during Endometriosis Awareness Month. And the numbers in that post broke the internet in the best way possible. In total, over 50 endometriosis lesions have now been surgically cut out of her body across the course of her treatment. 50 lesions. Plus a chocolate cyst, which is a specific type of endometriotic cyst filled with old blood that was literally adhering her ovary to the wall of her body. Plus the appendectomy. Plus the hernia repair. Her exact words in that post were, "I've felt indescribable, inescapable pain, and you could feel the weight of every single one of those years pressing through the screen. But the part that really hit hardest, the part that made women across the world stop scrolling, was when she described that cyst gluing her ovary to her side. Because while that was happening inside her body, while her organs were literally being pulled out of place, she was still out there living her life. She was running Australia Zoo. She was filming Crikey. It's the Irwins for Animal Planet. She was being a mum to little Grace, who was just learning to walk and talk during that period. She was feeding crocodiles in front of cameras, smiling for magazine covers, attending the Earthshot Prize Awards with her brother Robert, and standing on red carpets in beautiful gowns. All while her body was actively betraying her in ways no one could see. And through every single second of it, she just kept going. Not because she couldn't feel the pain, she absolutely could, every single day of those 13 years. She kept going because she didn't have the luxury of stopping, because the zoo needed its CEO, because Grace needed her mom, because her dad's legacy needed protecting, and because deep down, she genuinely loves what she does with her life. So the real question now is, what does all of this actually mean for Bindi today? And how did the woman the world thought it knew end up turning her pain into something so much bigger than herself? Bindi Irwin Legacy. To really understand the weight of everything Bindi has been through, you have to understand who she was before all of this. Because if you somehow don't know the full Bindi Irwin backstory, first of all, welcome. And second of all, buckle up, because this woman has packed about 10 lifetimes into one. Bindi Sue Irwin was born on July 24, 1998, in Boodram, Queensland, Australia. She's the daughter of the late, great Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter himself, and Terry Irwin, who's basically wildlife royalty in her own right. And if you've ever wondered about that name, Bindi Sue, here's the sweetest detail. Steve named her after his favorite crocodile at Australia Zoo, a croc named Bindi, and his beloved dog, Suey. That is the most Steve Irwin thing in the entire world, and honestly, we love him for it. Now, Bindi did not have what you'd call a normal childhood, but in the absolute best possible way. She grew up literally inside Australia Zoo in Beerwah, Queensland, surrounded by crocs, koalas, snakes, and every wild creature you can possibly imagine. She was homeschooled so she could balance her education with zoo life and TV commitments, and she was on camera basically before she could walk properly. Then at just 8 years old, she launched her own wildlife documentary series called Bindi the Jungle Girl. It aired on Discovery Kids and exploded into a massive hit. And not only did the show take off, but Bindi went on to win a Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Performer in Children's Programming.
Show or nominated for multiple Emmy Awards, but Bindi Irwin, host of Discovery Kids' Bindi the Jungle Girl, and daughter, of course, of late crocodile hunter Steve Irwin, is just such a 9-year-old. And she is
making her the youngest performer ever to win that award at the time, at 9 years old. Let that sink in for a second. Then, in 2015, she competed on Dancing with the Stars in the U.S., and you guessed it, she won that too, taking home the Mirror Ball Trophy with her partner, Derek Hof. She also starred in Crikey. It's the Irwins alongside her mum Terry and her brother Robert, and in 2024, she and Robert were named Earthshot Prize Ambassadors. She's now the CEO of Australia Zoo, a conservationist, an author, an Emmy winner, a reality TV champion, all of it. She married American wakeboarder Chandler Powell on March 20th, 2020, right at Australia Zoo. And on March 25th, 2021, they welcomed their daughter, Grace Warrior Irwin Powell.
Congratulations are in order for Bindi Irwin and her husband, Chandler Powell. The couple have welcomed a baby girl.
So from the outside, it looked like pure joy and purpose, the perfect continuation of her father's legacy. But here's the wild part. All of those accomplishments, the Emmy at 9, the Mirrorball Trophy at 16, the wedding, the zoo, the baby, the TV shows, every single one of those moments was happening while she was secretly drowning in pain. And what she did with that pain once she finally had a name for it is what makes her story bigger than any award she's ever won. Bindi Irwin activism. Here's the thing about Bindi Irwin. She has never been someone who just sits on something when she could be out there doing something about it. That's not how she was raised by Steve and Terry, and it's clearly not how she's wired as a person. She didn't just share her story and quietly move on with her life. She turned it into a full-blown advocacy mission. She partnered with the Endometriosis Foundation of America, also known as EndoFound, and she was honored at their Blossom Ball in May 2024 with the Blossom Award. She regularly speaks publicly about the condition now, urges women not to give up on finding answers, and pushes hard for endometriosis to be taken seriously as an actual medical issue.
2 years ago, Bindi Irwin revealed she was battling endometriosis. Now she is dealing with that and another health scare.
Not dismissed as just cramps or something women are supposed to silently endure. In her March 2026 Instagram post, she wrote directly to anyone who might be suffering, and her words hit so hard. She said, "If you're in pain, my heart breaks for you. I believe you. Please find answers, and don't give up on yourself. I know how hard that can be." Those 3 words, "I believe you," might seem simple at first, but for women who have spent years being dismissed, being told their pain isn't real, being sent home from doctors' offices without answers, hearing that from someone with Bindi's platform is enormous. It validates something that the entire medical system has repeatedly failed to validate for generations. That message resonated in a massive way. The post received over 3,600 comments. Fellow Dancing with the Stars professional Whitney Carson commented, calling Bindi brave. Her mom Terry wrote that she was so proud of her daughter for sharing her journey publicly. Women everywhere flooded the comments saying they'd been told the exact same thing, that their pain was just part of being a woman, and that Bindi's honesty made them feel truly seen for the first time in their lives. One commenter put it perfectly. They wrote that the amount of women who get told it's just part of being a woman is extremely sad, and that doctors and the education system need to do better. And Dr. Kathy Huang, director of NYU Langone Health's Endometriosis Center.
It's Kathy Huang. I'm the director of Endometriosis Center. We see a lot of patients with endometriosis that come in with pelvic pain.
Has been crystal clear about this exact issue, saying the most important takeaway is that pain is not normal. Bindi is now living proof of that message. She went from being one of those dismissed patients to being one of the loudest, most credible voices in the world telling other women, you deserve answers. And her brother Robert, who's now 22, has been right there with her, telling E! News that women's health throughout history, and even now, is just under-discussed and under-researched, and that we need advocates, men and women, to stand up and get the word out. That quote from Robert is worth sitting with for a second, because when men in someone's life, brothers, husbands, fathers, start speaking up about women's health, it changes the entire conversation in a really meaningful way. The Irwins are a family that shows up for the animals, for the planet, and clearly for each other. What Bindi Irwin has shared isn't just a personal account of illness and recovery, it's a window into something far larger and far more uncomfortable. Because if millions of women are still waiting nearly a decade for answers, if pain is still being dismissed, minimized, or misunderstood on a global scale, then the real question isn't just what happened to her. It's how many stories like hers are still unfolding right now, quietly behind closed doors, with no camera rolling and no one listening. And as awareness grows and more voices begin to surface from the margins of medical silence, one question lingers in the background, unanswered, unresolved, and increasingly difficult to ignore. How much of what we still call normal in medicine is actually just a system learning, far too slowly to see what has been there all along?